Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 310. Your weekly get together. We talk about recent gaming news. As always, your host, Stephen Brandon. Tonight, we have Bethesda delays we got to talk about. We have even more Silent Hill rumors. Yes, I know this is a tree we've been up multiple times, but these ones actually seem to be credible due to some takedowns filed by Konami. And Fall Guys goes free to play, as well as many other stories. All of which, of course, will be provided down below with links to their original sources. But first, I want everyone here to know this is an audience interactive podcast, so if you're watching here live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at twitch.tv/GamePoints, or later at YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, all the usual places to find video hosting, feel free to join the conversation with any comments, questions, etc. Just try to keep them germane to the topics on hand. And as always, if you like what you see here and you want to support the stream, you know what to do when it comes to follows, bits, subs, notifications turned on, but Discord you can join, all of that good stuff. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first topic of the night, and it is it's the biggest news we've had in a while, even if it is just a delay. Here it is, Bethesda announcing they are delaying two of their major games that were supposed to be coming out, or at least believed in one case coming out this year. To the actual statement. We've made the decision to delay the launch of Redfall and Starfield to the first half of 2023. The teams at Arcane Austin and Bethesda Game Studios have incredible ambitions for their games, and we want to ensure that you receive the best, most polished versions of them. We want to thank everyone here for their excitement for Redfall and Starfield. That energy is a huge part of what inspires all of us every day and drives our own excitement for what we are creating. We can't wait to share our first deep dive into gameplay of both Redfall and Starfield soon. Thank you for your support. Oh boy, are things looking bleak for Xbox this year. This is, in my opinion, very clearly what I'm now referring to as the cyberpunk effect, where anything major must be exceptional, especially if it can be compared to cyberpunk. In this case, I'm specifically talking about Starfield. Redfall, Arcane's behind it. Arcane has some chops. I enjoy Dishonored. I thought Prey was excellent. Deathloop, kind of hit and miss in my opinion. But Redfall, I just don't have that much of an interest in. So if you are excited for Redfall, I apologize, but this is going to be mostly about Starfield. I am very, very concerned about Starfield's current state. And I'm disappointed and relieved that it is being delayed. There was recently that person who came out and leaked a whole bunch of stuff about how Starfield wasn't doing too well, that the flying was ass. They were apparently some kind of QA person or someone who had access to the build of Starfield. Everything that they posted online was immediately purged because they were clearly breaking NDA when they were doing it. I have every belief that that was real now. I don't think that was by any means made up, considering that they're also now delaying the game not too long after all that came out. And it has to be in one hell of a state if they're giving up that delicious 11/11/22 date. That would be 10 years, I believe, exactly to when their last big Bethesda lauded game came out of Elder Scrolls. Yes, I know Fallout 76 and Fallout 4 have come out since then, but really 76 was kind of a disaster. Still a little bit is, and Fallout 4, it's fine, but it's not what people were hoping for, especially in the face of something else that came out that year, The Witcher 3, which just made Fallout 4 feel old. Like the day it came out, it already felt last gen. So, Starfield is arguably one of the biggest games since Elder Scrolls Skyrim, in my opinion. Furthermore, it's the first new IP we've seen from Bethesda in a very long time, especially when it comes to their game studios area. I really, really am worried about this game because if it wasn't in a wreck, they would have nailed that release date, especially after going out of the way to say, hey, it's coming then. Which brings me up to something I wanted to mention when it comes just to the industry as a whole. Individually, I have no problem with Starfield being delayed. It happens. Game delays happen. What is really starting to jerk my chain a little bit, though, is that every single AAA game that's coming out is getting delayed. No one can hit a release date anymore. And that is beyond just we need more time to polish. At that point, you have a fundamental breakdown if every single studio has to delay things. Yes, I know that COVID was a thing last year, a little bit this year. I know the lockdowns happened. You can't use that as an excuse anymore. You got to get shit out. At this point, whenever there's a release date, and we'll be talking about one later, I don't believe it. And that's if that's not a place you want to be in. You don't want one of your big messages coming out and me already instantly going, you're full of shit. Are any of us really surprised that Starfield got delayed? Disappointed? Sure. But it's not shocking anymore. And that is a major problem. And this is one of those things the industry needs to get its head out of its ass on, or it's going to just keep doing more and more damage, because these delays are starting to do more than just affect that one game now. It's starting to drag down the entire industry because we already have a massive credibility problem. To go back to Cyberpunk, that game comes out, it was lackluster, it was busted on last generation. CD Projekt RED, however, wasn't the only studio that ate shit on that. It is becoming more and more apparent that these companies just lie. And whenever another one of these issues or lies or misstatements gets exposed, it starts to ruin the credibility of the entire industry. So, publishers, please, for the love of God, shut the fuck up. Stop giving out release dates. I know that your stockholders need it, but it's coming down to a point where you're sacrificing your credibility from the people who are going to be buying your product for a little bit of short-term bump on your portfolios. And it's going to have a long-term knock-on effect. We're already starting to see it. So please, just keep your mouth shut and don't give a date until it's like 2 months out before it comes out. And then when you do that, make damn well sure you hit it. Another thing I want to touch on about this Starfield delay and Redfall delay. This is real bad for Xbox. Now, not to say PlayStation really has many exclusives coming out this year so far either. I mean, they had some, right? They had Horizon Forbidden West. They had Gran Turismo 7, I think we're on. Maybe 8. I'm not a racing game guy. And you might even have Grand Theft Auto later. But the big next-gen experiences still seem to be coming out at a trickle. But that trickle that Sony has given us is infinitely more than what Xbox has provided. Now think about what Xbox has rolled out over the past year or so when it comes to their big exclusives. What? Halo? Halo Infinite? A game that's having 6-month season passes and is just riddled with issues on its own? Where's Perfect Dark? They actually had to bring in another developer to help the initiative finish it by the name of Crystal Dynamics, because that game seems to be in infinite developer hell, it seems. Where's talk of the next Gears? Forza? There might be Forza this year. I'm not too sure now that I think about it. I'm not an Xbox guy, to be fair. And I'm definitely not a racing guy. But their big thing that they were supposed to have, their tentpole release, arguably the only tentpole release Microsoft has, because everything else is either coming out in a sad state like Halo or just MIA like Perfect Dark, was supposed to be Starfield. And that's not coming out this year. Again, another year of the Xbox not having a massive exclusive system seller. Because love or hate Halo, that franchise does not have the shine it once did. I don't think Halo can actually move consoles anymore. Xbox has one major win this generation, and only one that I can count of. If you're not counting things like acquisitions and stuff like that, which I don't even necessarily count as a win. That, to me, that seems a little bit more desperation than anything else. And that's Game Pass. And I love Game Pass. I subscribe to Game Pass. I get all those free games on the computer. It lets me play things I would normally never pay for. Game Pass is great. Game Pass also isn't sustainable. And we've talked about this before on this show. When Phil Spencer comes out and says, I'm sorry, not sustainable, profitable. Game Pass is not profitable. When Phil Spencer comes out and says, is Game Pass profitable? He goes, we believe that it's sustainable. He has changed what was asked. He was asked, is it profitable? And if it was, he would have said yes. But he's using weasel words to get around potential legal issues of stockholders if he says it's profitable and it's not. So he says sustainable. Game Pass is not making money for Xbox. They're trying to flood the zone. They're trying to do that thing like what Walmart does, what Netflix did before Netflix ate a massive amount of shit, which is why subscription services are a risky bet right now if you were in the business world, in my opinion. But what the hell do I know? This is really starting to look like the Xbox One generation when they just kind of ate shit for an entire generation. And it seems to be going that way. At least Sony is starting to show some exclusive. Like I said earlier this year, you had Horizon Forbidden West. You got God of War coming up. Potentially this year. Wouldn't be surprised if it slips till next year. How much of a flex would it be if God of War launches on 11/11/22, by the way? I am not necessarily a fanboy between the two. I have both Xbox Game Pass and a PlayStation 5, so I have access to all the exclusives. But how... That would feel like them just kicking Phil Spencer in the nuts if that's the case. And I would not be surprised to see that happen. However, I do think Jim Ryan's a bit of a boob, so I doubt that he'll actually be clever enough to see that through. But if I was in marketing on Sony, I would be pushing hard to have God of War come out 11/11/22 just to rub it in their face. Because, believe it or not, these two consoles are actively competing against each other, and that would be one hell of a flex. Is this Phil Spencer's fault? David Jaffe on his podcast kind of alluded to that being the case. I don't know if it's any one man's fault. I do feel like Microsoft might just have too much shit going on. I know that sounds weird. It's Microsoft. But their gaming division is just a small part of it. And I think maybe there are too many plates spinning over there. Between all their recent acquisitions, between their delays, between the Halo issues, with the Perfect Dark shit, with who knows what the hell's going on with Gears of War, with the Activision Blizzard acquisition, which seems to be causing no end to the legal headaches that are popping up over it. I think there's too much going on here, and it's leading to some sloppy managerial decisions. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about Starfield and Redfall. I can't forget about Redfall. It's just when between the two, one of them is very clearly going to be the one that sucks all the oxygen out of the room. Let me know what you think about this down below or in chat if you're live. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here. This is via Video Game Chronicle. Konami's Silent Hill plans could include a remake, full sequel, and episodic stories. Now, yes, I know it's yet another Silent Hill rumor. However, I'm willing to believe that what we have been hearing over the past week or so is real, because all of this was kind of kicked off by someone posted on Twitter some alleged screenshots of what might be a Silent Hill project. Normally, that wouldn't cause much of a stink. However, Konami did a DMCA on them and had them taken down, which more or less is Konami acknowledging that they are legit. To the article itself. Multiple Silent Hill projects are currently in development at studios around the world, sources have told Video Game Chronicle, and could include a remake, full sequel, and story-focused episodic series. Last week, a collection of leaked concept images appeared to confirm that a new Silent Hill was or in development. This followed a VGC story from last February, which reported that Konami was planning to revive the long-term horror game series. We were talking about that a couple weeks ago. I can't quite remember when, but we were mentioning that. Now the details are emerging on what some of those projects could look like. As first mentioned by influencer Nate the Hate and journalist Jeff Grubb, one of the in-development titles could be a remake of the fan favorite installment, Silent Hill 2. And that sounds like it would make perfect sense to me, by the way, because Konami, in their Konami-ness, would look at the franchise and goes, that's the one people like, let's make things around that, which is why you have that very infamous Silent Hill slot machine with Pyramid Head running around saying, hit the lever. And, I mean, you've seen the memes from a couple of years ago. That would be a Konami-ass move to look at the one that people love and goes, just remake that. God forbid anyone taking that on, by the way. God help them, rather. That is going to be a remake that is dissected down to the most granular detail and critiqued and pulled apart by the fan base because people love that game. Back to the article. This matches with what VGC has heard from our own sources. It is claimed that the remake will feature reworked AI, animations, puzzles, and several new endings, and potentially released as a timed exclusive on PlayStation consoles. That also matches up with previous rumors about how Konami and Sony were working very closely on something. It was always rumored to be something Silent Hill related, or that Sony might be buying Konami or any number of things. So this does kind of match along what those rumors have been. Oh, the Medium Studio has been linked to Silent Hill franchise over the past 18 months. That would be Team Bloober, by the way, or Bloober Team, rather. Last year, the Polish developer announced a strategic cooperation agreement with Konami months after Bloober's CEO claimed it was working on an existing horror IP from a very famous gaming publisher. Silent Hill's composer Akira Yamaoka? Yeah. Even worked on Bloober's 2021 title, The Medium, and teased his next game project by stating it's the one you've been hoping to hear about. This is going to be a problem. I have no beef against Bloober Team, by the way. I actually like a lot of what they do. I think that Observer, the Cyberpunk one with Rutger Hauer in it, I thought that was excellent. Layers of Fear 1 and 2, they're all right. They're walking sims. The Blair Witch sucked. The Medium was at best mediocre with a gimmick that seemed cool but ultimately was just that, a gimmick, and was only used very, very little throughout the game. Giving a venerable game such as Silent Hill 2 to Team Bloober or Bloober Team, I can't remember which one comes first, is a problem. I do not think they have the chops to deliver a proper remake on this. Then again, I don't think Konami really cares all that much. I get the distinct feeling that they were probably able to get a sweetheart deal to make a lot of money off of this, and they can just hand it off to someone and go, here, you do something with it, just pay us. That's what this reeks of. Rocco Gaming V in chat says, Konami left it all on the table in 2013. You can tell the take was empty. You know, here's the bitch of it all. Konami just reported its most profitable year ever. I believe, anyways. I don't have that story in front of me. But I believe Konami did report that, hey, we are doing gangbusters when it comes to profit. A lot of that is coming from Yu-Gi-Oh! Because don't forget, Konami does own that franchise. Let's focus specifically on the Silent Hill 2 remake. This is via IGN. Silent Hill 2 remake rumors. Bloober Team CEO refuses to comment, but says new project will still be a Bloober Team title. To the article itself. Following the rumors that horror game developed by Bloober Team is remaking legendary Silent Hill 2, CEO Peter Babino has said he cannot comment, but hopes to make an announcement about the company's future projects as soon as we can. He added that its unannounced project will still be a Bloober Team title, even though it's made in partnership with another company. Babino also explained the future Bloober games will be bigger and more gameplay focused than in the past and will not be walking sim type experiences. That's good to hear. The Medium was one of their first games that actually got away from the walking sim style of game, even though it was still mostly, in my opinion, a linear walking sim, just with a third-person camera and a couple of gimmicky puzzles, as opposed to the first-person camera going down a long corridor and having shit jump out at you that most of their games seem to be. Like I said, God help them. God help Bloober Team with the Silent Hill 2 remake if that is in fact what they're doing, and I am inclined to believe that they are, because if they fuck this up, they will be a pariah, and it will be just I like I said, I have mixed feelings about Bloober Team. I really enjoyed a couple of games they've done. A couple others just outright sucked. I just don't think that this is the studio you want have handling Silent Hill 2. It's the same feeling that I got when I heard that CyberConnect was handling the Final Fantasy VII remake, and then Square wisely went, no, I think we're going to take that and do it on our own. This just does not seem like a good idea to me. Furthermore, you have the sequel game that's potentially coming out. I'm not too sure who does that. But there's also this episodic horror game too. Can we not with the episodic shit anymore? Can we just stop? Can you just give me a full game? Telltale, long departed at this point, drove that into the ground. I am done with this weird, you get a new episode every month kind of bullshit. Admittedly, I still play Destiny, and that's kind of what they're on now too. But I'm over it. Especially when it comes to like a horror game. So much of a horror game is building up suspense. And when you turn that into an episodic content, you're going to be ramped up and ramped up and ramped up. And then either they artificially have to give you some kind of climax a little bit earlier than possibly they should, or they're going to leave you in a suspended state of animation with a cliffhanger. And you're not going to hold on to that dread for a month or a quarter or half a year, however long it takes for the next game to come out. It doesn't work that way. Horror games don't work that way. So I also have it's Konami above all else, man. We know that Konami is going to do some Konami-ass shit. So I am not really looking forward to any of this. And that's a damn shame. Anyways, next topic here. This one relates both to my love of the horror game and release dates that we talked about earlier. This is a press release from Electronic Arts. Classic sci-fi horror is back when Dead Space launches January 27th, 2023. Now, I know earlier I went off on my rant about release dates. Do I think that this is going to make that January 27th date? Hell no. And a lot of that isn't necessarily because of EA's thought. It's because of every other game getting delayed. And that's what I'm talking about when I say this shit is now starting to have a knock-on effect on the entire industry. I don't trust anything when it comes to release dates anymore. I don't even trust things when I'm being shown it. However, when it comes to trying to rebuild trust, I will say I do like what Motive is doing with Dead Space here. And that is doing these monthly, bi-monthly or so deep dev dives into what's going on. For example, right here is talking about that they had an hour-long presentation showing the behind-the-scenes making of the game, letting us see how it's coming along. That, great. I know you can't really do that for a lot of things if you don't want things spoiled, but Dead Space being a remake, you can kind of get a little bit more granular detail behind-the-scenes stuff showing off what's coming, because for the most part, the people who are going to play the Dead Space remake already play the original. They know how it's going to shake out. To the press release. Dead Space will officially launch on January 27th, 2023 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and PC. Note, it does not say last-gen game, so no PlayStation 4, for example, which is great. We need to move on to the next generation. Dead Space is a remake of the classic survival horror game that is being rebuilt from the ground up, leveraging the Frostbite game engine. I think my opinion on Frostbite has been covered ad nauseum on this channel. It's not something that fills me with hope, but it's also to be expected considering it is EA. I just kind of wish they were using maybe Unity 5 or something rather than Frostbite. Going on. Still remaining true to the original game's story and vision, the remake offers enhanced audio for crisp, harrowing visuals that have been craftily reimagined to evoke a new level of immersion and quality. Also revealed today in the Dead Space livestream, the team at Motive, another red flag in my opinion. I don't think Motive has really done anything great. They did Star Wars Battlefield 2 and Star Wars Squadrons. I'd rather you just still have had Visceral rather than shutting them down, but here we are. The team at Motive has showcased an early look at the remake visually evolves and updates the original with in-game pop-ups, tools, environments, and more being reconstructed to a level of polish and details fit for the next generation of hardware and PCs. Moreover, by combining enhancements like dynamic volumetric lighting, allowing atmospheric and environmental VFX rendered in full HDR, Dead Space allows players to confront the frightening tight corridors and shadowed hallways of the USG Ishimura with unprecedented levels of immersion for the beloved franchise. There's a lot of reasons to be suspect of this, for sure. One, it's EA. We know what EA does. Two, it's Motive. Motive really hasn't had the best track record, in my opinion. Three, it's running on Frostbite, an engine that I do not think is up to the task that EA considers itself to be up to the task for. I think Frostbite's one of the biggest issues that EA as a whole currently has, and to know that this is running on it, a little bit disheartening. That said, I really like these dev diaries that they're doing. I think it goes a long way to trying to reestablish trust, and I have watched a couple of them. They're long. They're extremely technical. They're not showing off the game in a polished up state. They're showing the guts of it. They're showing how it's coming along, and they're detailing about why they're doing some things and why this change is being made, and this is what we're doing here. And I love that. This industry is notoriously secretive for no reason. So to see a company coming out, EA coming out specifically and going, hey, this is what we're doing, I think that's a great step in a positive direction. Or a positive direction and a great step. Either way, you know what I'm saying. I think it's great. Take a look at chat here. I think companies would be safer not to give... Sorry, let me start over again. I think companies would be safer to not even give a release date until 1 to 3 months before release, and even then, have the game in a releasable state at the time of announcement. Just hype it up all you want. Stop disappointing your fans and followers. That's what I agree with too. The one of the cool things about Fallout 4 when it was announced is that it was announced officially, I think, in June, and its release date was like 4 months away, 5 months maybe. I was hoping that Bethesda would have learned how awesome that was and stuck with it, but they didn't, and it's biting them in the ass because it hasn't even been that long since they announced the 11/11 date. They could have just waited a couple of months. If they wouldn't have said anything 6 weeks ago or whenever that date was locked in, we wouldn't have this problem now. But they couldn't keep their goddamn mouth shut. Just tell people it'll be ready when it's ready. Because you're pissing more people off when you're giving a date and then delaying it. It's starting to become... It's a joke at this point. Which is why I say, do I believe that Dead Space Remake will be January 27th? No. God, no. This will come out like in April or May. Hell, maybe even June or July. Not June or July. Maybe August. Hell, they might even get delayed till October of that year. I do not believe that release date. And that's not necessarily EA's fault, although they are a part of it. It is because of the massive wave of... I have been using the term incompetence to cover this because I think that's really the only way to say it. Is that incompetence on the behalf of the developers? Not necessarily. It could be, but there is some breakdown somewhere of people just being unable to meet their commitments, and it's really starting to piss people off. Like I said, when your first statement on a game is a release date, and everyone just universally goes, "I don't believe you," that sets a really bad tone for the rest of your PR up until the game's release. That's enough of Dead Space there. Let me know what you guys think, by the way. I am really looking forward to this remake. I love Dead Space. I think it is one of the best horror franchises out on the market. 1 and 2 specifically reminded me a lot of Alien 1 and Alien and Aliens. Which, of course, means Dead Space 3 is the equivalent of Alien 3, and we all know how that went. Next topic from GameIndustry.biz. Oh, here we go. I lost my place in my notes. Headline. Following the sale of Western developers, Square Enix wants to acquire and establish new studios. This is one of those stories that pisses me off. Because it's one of those things where a studio will either sell off a bunch of properties or close a bunch of studios and then immediately turn around and go, hey, we're hiring to open up new studios. The fuck? At least in this case, people didn't get fired. They just get transferred to a new company. And in the case of Eidos, I think this might have been something that they were wanting to have happen. But there are other reasons to get salty in this article, as we'll go through. During its earning call for fiscal year 2022, Square Enix detailed the business strategy behind the sale of Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal to the Embracer Group. Among its objectives, Square Enix said that the sale of the studios will help it optimize its resource allocation so it can develop titles that better appeal to the customer needs while simultaneously bolstering its profitability. Translation, the Marvel games that were produced by the Western studios sucked and were not profitable. Which is, in the case of the Avengers, obvious. In the case of Guardians of the Galaxy, tragic. That game is actually pretty fun. I'd recommend you take a look at it. Back to the article. The Japanese company aims to transform its portfolio by accelerating investments into focused fields, here comes some gobbledygook, such as blockchain, AI, and cloud-based services. It also mentioned the objective of better aligning overseas publishing function with the organization in Tokyo, adding that it wants to maximize worldwide revenue from future titles launched by group studios in Japan and abroad by revising its existing governance structure and reporting lines of advancing integrated group management. I've read that in full because it is business word salad. It means nothing, but it sounds good to investors. Square Enix added that, to reach these objectives, it intends to strengthen its IPs and ecosystem, most notably by establishing new studios, and that's what I'm talking about. They're building new studios after already selling out old studios, because I think Square Enix arrogantly believes all their problems lied with the Western arm of Square Enix. They didn't. Was there some problems? Absolutely. But the home offices as well had their share of issues. Let us not forget the clusterfuck that was Final Fantasy 15, a game that I did enjoy, by the way, but was nowhere near the caliber it should have been and took many years to actually drop. Back to the article. Most notably by establishing new studios, doing mergers and acquisitions, but by creating new IP as well. Awesome. I fully support the creation of new IP. Project Triangle Strategy, for example, was amazing. Octopath Traveler, not so much. But hey, you're not always going to have a hit. Give me more Triangle Strategy, please, or more games like that in the future. Later in the call, Square Enix detailed its blockchain initiatives and successes with its first season of NFTs linked to the comic Shi Shansei, Million Arthur, which ended March 2022. Encouraged by the results and feedback from our NFT business, we have decided to produce a second season, Square Enix said. Our plan is to incorporate game content into our service and to leverage the development and operational expertise we have amassed in our existing businesses to explore the potential of earning structures, breadth of pay, and NFT ownership experiences in the NFT business. There goes that's Square being Square. The NFT space is hemorrhaging money. I think interest in it was dropped down like 98% or something like that. I know that number seems large, but I don't think I'm exaggerating. However, I have said this multiple times. NFTs are not going away when it comes to video games. I know that when you or I think of NFTs, we think of that stupid goddamn monkey. You know the one. The one that everyone says, I bought this picture, please do not steal. And then everyone goes, okay, and then right-click save and posts it up everywhere else. Yeah, that's one form of NFT. But these game companies don't see NFTs as art that you could just save and transfer to someone else. These game companies see them as microtransactions. Imagine, if you will, a game that lets you brand your own content in-game, as long as it fell within the TOS of Square Enix, whatever agreement they have you signed to sell your own items on there. Imagine then, if you will, that you can transfer the rights to those items to other people so they can use those cosmetics as well. So I make my monkey shirt. I sell my monkey shirt for $5 to someone else. That person now has a monkey shirt. I do not have that monkey shirt. However, the important part of this transaction is that $5 that he paid for my monkey shirt, I only get $4 of it. Square Enix keeps the other dollar. That's why video game companies are going to wholeheartedly embrace this idea of NFTs, because it is an untapped revenue stream, just waiting for them to gobble it up. If you think that microtransactions were bad before, you haven't seen nothing yet. I know we all joke about the horse armor, at least those of us old enough to remember when horse armor first came out for Oblivion. That was something that Bethesda made and sold to people. Now imagine when everyone makes their own version of horse armor and starts selling it to each other. And Square Enix just takes a little bit here and there. They don't have to waste resources developing up their own version of horse armor. They just got to take a little cut every single time money changes hands. Hell, you can just take all the money. You can make it to where these items could only be sold using Square Bucks or whatever their whacked out in-game currency is. You got to buy a $19.99 card of 1,600 Square points. And then you can use those Square points to buy items from other people and transfer them back and forth. So that way they can say, hey, these items that people are buying have no actual real world value. It's kind of like the way the items work in Team Fortress 2 to a degree or Counter-Strike. I think you're going to see that kind of shit explode across multiple platforms. And Square Enix, as well as Ubisoft, are for two companies to watch to see who is going to do this first. It is coming. I assure you it is coming. The question is when. One final bit on the article here, something that I wanted to point out. During the call, Square Enix also touched upon the current situation of Balan Wonderworld's creator Yuji Naka, who filed a lawsuit against the company over the state of the game. Takashi Mochizuki, reporter at Bloomberg, said on Twitter that, quote, Square Enix has confirmed that a lawsuit with Yuji Naka has confirmed it had a lawsuit case of Yuji Naka, but declined to comment further, end quote. He also added that Square said Balan Wonderworld is a game they would fully recommend with confidence. I think we'll just leave that there. I have a couple more stories. I got three more stories coming. First up here, I really enjoyed this right here. I like this quite a bit. Frogwares receives Epic MegaGrant. Frogwares is one of those studios that reminds me a little bit of Spiders, and that lovely little AA studio that made Greedfall, the upcoming Steel Rising. Frogwares is a lot like them in that they just get a little bit better every time, and I see potential here. Sinking City was awesome. The Sherlock Holmes stuff is pretty good. This is a studio that was fucked over by their publisher. I think Big Ben Interactive, I think is what they were called. I can't quite remember. Maybe it was Focus Home. Forgive me, I don't remember which one it was. But they got screwed over, specifically when it comes to the Sinking City. So I'm glad to see them getting some help, especially given the perilous situation some of the developers find themselves in. Let me go to the press release here, and hopefully you'll see what I mean. We're proud to share that we've received an Epic MegaGrant from Epic Games. As of right now in Ukraine, the war still keeps going. During this, important to note, Frogwares is, I believe, a Ukrainian studio. As of right now in Ukraine, the war still keeps going. During this time, we as a studio need to feel strong, maintain a positive mindset, and do everything we can to keep the business operating while also providing our team with the support they require. This is why we're proud to share that we've received Epic MegaGrant from Epic Games. The war has negatively affected our production workflows and led to the partial disorganization of our studio. The funds from the Epic MegaGrant will be crucial in relocating employees to safer areas and will help those who have moved to remote regions of Ukraine or to other nations in the EU maintain their financial stability. The war has also created a financial gap for those in the studio and impacted our businesses. We've been working hard these past couple months to renew and maintain the usual pipelines, and the MegaGrant will assist us in supplying our team with specialized equipment that is vital for game development and to migrate our data infrastructure. In short, the Mega Epic Grant will be used to soften the financial blow from the war and stay on our feet. We would like to thank Epic Games for their support during this time. We also want to thank our community for all of your kind words and encouragement. We are hopeful for a safe and peaceful future and look forward to sharing more of our exciting projects with you soon. Awesome. That's great. Good on Epic for helping them out in their time of need. Like I said, they are a studio that I want to see succeed. And they're in an active war zone. So hopefully they can be relocated to a safer place and give us some more of their great detective work. Next story, second to last here. From Video Game Chronicle. Actually, before I get into this, chat's talking about, oh yes, the gaming metropolis, the gaming mecca, the Ukraine. You know, there are a lot of Ukrainian developers. I did a thread on Twitter about them all. I know Twitter, whatever. But I was surprised at the number of game devs who are in the Ukraine. You know, they're escaping me off the top of my head, but there are a lot of video game devs in Ukraine. The one that a lot of you might be familiar with are the Metro guys, the guys that did the Metro series, you know, like Metro Exodus, Metro Last Light, I think was another one of those games. When the first Russian invasion happened and they took over the Crimean area, I think it was Crimea, they were kind of based in that area and they had to pick up and flee. Now they're in Milan last time I checked. So yeah, Ukraine actually has a lot of game devs. I wish I had my list in front of me. Let me, I'm going to take a moment to see if I can't track down that thread so I can give you the list of what I know was on there. Just give me 1 second because I am going to find this. I just need to track it down. It's going to be easier for me to look it up this way. That's not it. Oh, when did it happen? I know it's dead air. Forgive me. I do want to track down all the stuff that was on here, though. Oh my god, I'm going to go through all this and not be able to find what I'm looking for, aren't I? Oh, Jesus Christ. I swear I have a whole list of them. I will find it. Dead air. Dead air. Where are you at? Oh my god. I'm looking like an ass because I can't find this thread. Where is this thread? Okay, let's try. Okay, hold on. It's got to be around here somewhere. Okay, here we go. So, 11-Bit Studios. 11-Bit Studios, Ukrainians. Those are the guys that did This War of Mine. Frogwares, like I mentioned earlier. GCS Game World. They are the guys that are making Stalker 2. Gameloft. Gameloft has 2 studios in Ukraine. They're a big publisher. Vostok Games. G5 has a studio in Kharkiv. 4A Games. They're the people that made the Metro stuff. That's just off this quick list right here. I can keep going, but I think my point has been made. Yeah, there are actually a lot of game studios in Ukraine. So it does affect this industry more than you might think. Anyways, story here from Video Game Chronicle. Fall Guys is going free to play alongside its Switch and Xbox releases in June. To the article. The title was Fall Guys are going free to play June 21st when the game released on Nintendo Switch and Xbox consoles. The title will also be released via the Epic Game Store on the same date. The news was leaked via an in-game video in Fortnite shortly before its official announcement during a live stream on Monday. By the way, that is not a leak, that is intentional. Let's be clear here. A game does not just accidentally leak on Fortnite. Fall Guys will support cross-platform play, awesome, and cross-progression on all platforms, also awesome. Existing owners receive a free legacy pack when the game goes free to play. It will include free costumes and access to Season 1's new premium season pass, which will run alongside a free season pass. Cool. This feels somewhat inevitable. Fall Guys is one of those games that was huge when it first came out. I think it became PlayStation Plus's most downloaded game ever, to give you an idea of how popular it was. But much like Among Us, kind of a flash in the pan. Now, I do still know that people play Fall Guys, but it is no longer getting the amount of buzz that it once did. This falls in that same category of, like I said, Among Us or Pokemon Go, that for a small chunk of time, everyone is talking about it. And then it's gone. And I actually forgot Fall Guys existed until I heard about this. So going free to play makes perfect sense, especially considering they had this bottle pass system for the most part already. It makes sense I would go free to play to get more people into it. I'm glad that is going to be cross-platform and cross-progression, by the way. That is the way to do these if you're going to do it. Last story of the day. Via Gamatsu. Techland is developing a AAA open-world fantasy RPG with former CD Projekt RED staff. Good. I like new IP. I want to see new ideas. I want to see new worlds that people are creating. To the article here. We're very happy with what we've accomplished in Dying Light so far, said Techland CEO Pavel Marchweka. Forgive me if I mispronounced that in the press release. Moreover, on our journey with Dying Light 2 Stay Human has only just begun. We plan to support the game for at least 5 years of its scope matching, if not exceeding, we have provided our community during Pushlife as predecessor. He's essentially talking about, hey, we like Dying Light, but... He continued, at the same time, our ambition is to introduce a brand new IP that is vastly different from what we have been doing for the past several years. We want to create a fully next-gen experience, a new fantasy epic set in a sprawling open world, filled with skills and experience we have gained as a team over the years, infused with new ideas, passion, and creativity. While we cannot share more details about this project now, we are truly invested in it and look forward to showing your games when the time is right. Now, we have these two shots. Really, it's only one shot. But the reason why I'm convinced that this is still very much in pre-production right here is because if you go to their now hiring page, there's a lot of positions opened up right now, which means they are just now ramping up to start working on this. This is very much in pre-production, so I would not expect anything from Techland as far as this game, whatever it maybe goes, for another 3 or 4 years. But it is always exciting to hear new IP on the way, because you never know when you're going to get your next Dead Space, or Fall Guys, or Horizon, or any number of things. I don't mind playing long-lasting series, but it does have to be buoyed by some new blood. That does it for the news stories. I do have a couple of new releases I want to get into. Let's take a look at this here. V in chat saying they predicted that. Going back to Fall Guys. They predicted that, played it with some buds, but I was like, this is going to die while people were talking about it. Fall Guys is going to be the next big esport. I don't know if I heard anyone say it was going to be the next big esport, but I did. When I played it for a couple of weeks, and then I kind of did go, yeah, okay, the only people that are going to be playing this from this point on are those who are really freaking good at it, because I recently tried to get back into Fall Guys and just got my ass handed to me. So there are people who know that game inside and out. But yeah, I feel you. It was one of those things that I did play and kind of went, this is cool. I'm never going to touch it again. And really haven't since that one random day I took a look at it again and went, yep, I'm getting my ass kicked now. We have 3 new releases that I want to go over this week. First up, Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song on the PlayStation 5, the Xboxes, and Switch and PC. Play as 3 vampires and harness their powers, embrace their desires, and face their demons in a heart-pounding story in which you choices decide the fate of Boston. This looks god-awful. I want it to... It just screams low budget to me. And low budget isn't necessarily bad, but it screams low budget in a way that makes it feel cheap. Now, I could be wrong. I hope I am. I'm a big fan of the World of Darkness stuff. Not so much vampire. I was more of a mage, werewolf guy, but This does not really do anything for me. I believe it is only on Epic, by the way, on PC, so if you go looking for it on Steam, you might be out of luck. That does come out later this week. You also have something out called Dolmen on PlayStation 5, the Xboxes, and PC. Dolmen is a terrifying new action RPG that combines futuristic sci-fi and cosmic horror elements. Will your timeline be erased, or will you defeat your enemies to survive and fulfill your mission? I'm getting really strong Hellpoint vibes from this, and Hellpoint was kind of good concept, poorly executed. I'm getting that from here too. At best, I would say this might match what The Surge was able to do, but this is another one of those action RPGs that feels like it's trying to cash in on becoming another Dark Souls-like without actually going that far. I could be misreading it. I am basing this solely on the little trailer that I saw. Didn't really do all that much for me. And then finally this week, V Rising comes out into early access on PC. Awaken as a vampire, hunt for blood in nearby settlements to regain your strength and evade the scorching sun to survive. Raise your castle and thrive in an ever-changing open world full of mystery. Gain allies online and conquer the land of the living. I'd be more into this if it didn't have that multiplayer function to it. But that's just me. I don't do multiplayer games. This does look kind of cool. It has a Diablo-esque feel to it with some mobile game-ishness behind it. I think you'll see what I mean when you take a look at the trailer for it. I might take a look at this. I don't know. I'm hearing good things about it. I was kind of lukewarm on it, but as more and more people are getting a hold of this, they are saying that there is something to this. I might take a look at it before the month is over with, but we will see. And that does it for the new releases, which means that does it for the show as well. Thank you all for showing up to GamePoints episode 310. We do this live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here at twitch.tv/GamePoints. So if you want to be part of the show, feel free to drop on by then. However, if you can't join us live, the show also goes up on any number of video hosting sites, YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, etc. You can follow myself, Stephen Brown, at CapitalistPig21 over on Twitter, the show at GamePointsPC on Twitter as well. And we also have a Discord server and will be part of the greater GamePoints community, like so many of you are. Linked to that and all the stories that we talked about down below or on that Discord server. And one final call up for the stream. If you like what you saw here, you know what to do. Like, spits, follow, subs, all that good stuff. They all change depending on where you watch it at, but it's all helpful, regardless if you think it is or not. Anyways, thank you all for showing up. This has been Game Points. Until next week, I'm out of here.